Recently, I did a video with my little sister Sienna where we spoke about puberty and the things that happen to your body when you start puberty. You guys found it really helpful and I know Sienna enjoyed it, didn't you? So, we're going to be talking about another topic that is important to learn when you're growing up. We're going to be talking about where babies come from and how they're made. Do you know? Do you have any idea?
Kind of. I feel like the only thing I know is that you give birth to a baby.
Yeah, you give birth to a baby, but do you know how a baby's made?
No.
You sure you don't know anything?
No.
So you know that you give birth. We saw baby Koa be born and you saw Karma be born as well. Do you know that it comes out of your mum? And
but it starts off in your dad.
Well, part of the baby, what will turn into a baby, is in your mum and also your dad. And then they join together, the parts. So you don't really know much at all, okay? So do you want me to explain it to you more?
Yes.
Okay, I've made some notes on my phone just so I can be all factual. When a female is born, she carries thousands of ova or eggs ready to use when she becomes an adult. So in your stomach, or not your stomach, I'm calling this your stomach, but in this part of your body there's a thing called your womb and your ovaries. So in there you have eggs, and when you're born, you're born with all the eggs you'll ever have. But I think they slowly, the amount of them go down as you get older. You start off with like thousands, but a lot of them go away just like as you're growing up. Naturally.
What?
Yeah,
so
I know, it's crazy.
I've got eggs in me right now.
Yeah, you've got eggs in you right now, and so have I, and so has Karma, and so has Mum.
What, Karma?
You have eggs in the womb. Your mum's egg that would turn into you was in your grandmother's stomach.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy to think about. So you're very close to your grandmother as well as your mother, because you've been inside both of them technically.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, these are female seeds that along with sperm create a new life. So your eggs that are inside your stomach is part of what would turn into a baby.
Okay.
Along with sperm. So once a month the female releases an ovum, one egg or sometimes two, which you call it ova. It's like cacti. You know, a cacti is multiple cactuses. The cactuses isn't like a proper word, and you wouldn't say ovals, you say ova instead. That's like the scientific name for it. So do you know what sperm is?
No.
So sperm are the male seeds that contribute to starting a new life. So living sperm can look a bit like tadpoles under a microscope. They're invisible, you can't see. Well, not invisible, but they're so tiny you can't see them.
With your, bare eyes.
Yeah, you can't see them with your bare eyes, and the same with the eggs. They're like so tiny, you have to use a microscope to be able to see them. If an ovum has been released and a sperm unites with it and it fertilizes, it makes the first cell of a new baby. So a baby is made when the sperm and the ovum join together, and then it does a chemical reaction where it turns into the first cell of the baby. So it's just like one tiny cell.
And then, but how does it create more cells?
So basically then it starts
baby?
dividing the cells. It's very cool, Sienna, it's very cool. This fertilized ovum, which has the sperm and the ovum together, immediately divides into two cells. Then these cells divide again and again over the next couple of days as the clusters of cells make its way to the uterus, the womb. So basically you have a womb here and then you have ovaries. So that happens in the ovaries and then it goes to your womb, which is where the baby will grow into a proper baby, not just a ball of cells. Here it is planted in the lining of the uterus and continues dividing its cells to make billions of new cells. The female is now pregnant. So basically it starts from the ovum and the sperm, which join together, and then it creates the first cell of the baby, which then keeps dividing and dividing and dividing until it creates an actual baby, which is crazy to think that it just comes from one thing. Well, I guess technically two things. And then it divides, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like cloning itself.
That sounds kind of creepy.
Imagine if you could just decide to clone yourself. That's what your cells do.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, I've got a question. Is there an animal that can divide itself?
I don't know, Sienna, but I know bacteria can do the same. Some bacteria and cells, obviously. Because that's how babies are made. So the amazing thing is that each one of these cells contains the same set of chromosomes or plans that were created at fertilization. So even though it's duplicated itself, it's exactly the same. It's almost like creating something out of nothing. It starts off as one thing and then it suddenly becomes two.
It's like a pizza. It's got the amount of toppings on. Then you cut it into different pieces, but each slice still has the same amount of toppings as the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how long you're pregnant for?
3 months.
9 months. I'm really surprised you thought 3 months. Mum wasn't pregnant for 3 months.
I thought it was less than that.
No,
Almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year. So over 9 months, these cells will grow into a new person. So when your dad's sperm and mum's egg, or ovum, got together, they each brought a set of plans for what the new baby would look like, or for what you would look like, you know? So when the ovum was fertilized and became your first cells, these plans, or genes, helped to decide lots of things about you, e.g. whether you're a boy or a girl, the color of your skin, the color of your eyes and hair. And genes are made of DNA, so if you could see your genes, they would look like beads on a necklace of DNA. These strands are called chromosomes.
Oh, I thought they looked like genes.
No, genes don't look like genes. It's spelled differently. There's 2 different types of genes. So that first single cell has 23 chromosomes from your mum and 23 from your dad, which is why you might look like your mum or dad. Because basically you are made from part of your mum and dad. So that's why you look like a combination of your mum and dad. I know obviously some people will look more like their mum or more like their dad, or they'll look more like their grandparents. So once one sperm has fertilized the ovum, no other sperm can get in. For the sperm, it's like a race and there is only one winner. So there will be lots of sperm and they'll like compete over getting to the 1 or 2 eggs. Do you know how twins are made? So basically you get 2 different types of twins. One sperm can only fertilize 1 egg. So if 2 ova or eggs leave the ovaries at the same time and are both fertilized, then non-identical twins are born. So that is basically like your mother has 2 eggs and they both get fertilized by different sperm. So it's like the same as just one baby, except it happened at the same time. So that's why you get twins that will just look like normal siblings. Like they'll be the same age, but they won't look identical completely. They could look quite different, in fact, because it's just like any other sibling in terms of how similar they look. Identical twins is if an ovum splits after it's been fertilized. So it's when the egg and the sperm meet, and then when it's like the cells are duplicating themselves, if that ball of cells splits into 2, then it can actually turn into 2 babies. So they were made out of the same egg and the same sperm, but they just separated. So that's why they'll look identical, which is really interesting. I feel like that's so cool. Like you're literally made out of the same, exactly the same things as your identical twin. So when you have twins or more babies than twins, it's called a multiple birth. So do you know what happens like to make the baby grow from just some cells?
No.
No, you don't? Okay. The place where the embryo plants itself is inside the uterus. So we spoke about it when it goes from your ovaries to your womb, to your uterus. So the baby starts to grow and other tissue grows into a placenta. So you remember mum's placenta?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's how the baby gets oxygen, and that's how the baby gets food and nutrients. So that's what it does instead of eating and obviously breathing in air. Do you know how it goes from the placenta to the baby? Because the placenta is like an organ that is inside your womb, and your baby is also inside your womb. So do you know how it goes from the placenta to the baby?
Yeah, the placenta has like a cord that attaches
The
to
umbilical
the
cord.
Yeah.
And
to
do you
the
know...
baby's belly button.
Well done, Sienna. Yeah, so that is why you have a belly button. I think most people cut it off, but I think naturally it would just fall off once a baby's born. But I think that might take a while, so I think that's why people like to cut it off, because it's kind of tricky to hold your baby when you've got like a placenta attached to it. So the umbilical cord is a soft, bendy tube from the placenta to the navel of the fetus. So there is a sac, a bag of thin skin filled with fluid protecting the skin of the developing baby. So the baby is inside your uterus in a sac.
Okay.
Not a normal bag, but like it's not a carrier bag, but you know what I mean, yeah? So the baby can move around safely inside the mother for 9 months until he or she is ready to be born into our world. Did you find it interesting?
Yeah, I've got a question. How does, you know, like twins, how, because they can be a boy and a girl, but they can still be identical?
Basically, the cell and the sperm, when they meet together, it will decide whether it will be a boy or a girl, like the DNA.
Yeah, it's already decided.
It's already decided, so it's always going to be matching gender. Sienna, I hope you found this helpful and interesting. And if you have any questions, you can always go to mum and dad and ask them questions, or you can go to me as well if you want. Oh yeah, Mia, of course, by the way, if I looked weird during this video, it's because I tried to vault over a fence and I bit my lips, so this is, my lips kind of puffy.
That was amazing.
We should name it Popcorn Lip.
Yeah, Sienna keeps calling me popcorn lip because it looks like there's a piece of popcorn attached to my lip because it's so swollen. So my unicorns, if you're new around here, make sure to click subscribe and also check out this video here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!